Good evening. The Channel 2 News is next. The Pan Am pickets are still up, and the strike is still alive tonight, despite the good news that a contract settlement is on the horizon. And a multi-million-dollar facelift has turned a war relic into a modern-day prize right here in the Southland.
This is the Channel 2 News with Ross Becker, Pam Moore, and Roy Firestone with sports.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Pam Moore. Ross Becker and I sitting in for Colleen Williams, who has the evening off. The top story tonight is a story of hope. The announcement is that the first big break in the 23-day-old walkout by the Transport Workers Union, the Pan Am workers, those workers could be back on the job.
I wish to announce that tentative agreement has been reached between Pan American World Airways and the Transport Workers Union.
The announcement is the first big break in this long strike, but members say that they'll continue to picket until the new agreement is ratified, whenever that is.
I just hope it's a decent contract. Something I can vote yes on and feel good about it, you know. I don't want to vote yes just because I have to.
A membership vote on the contract will take place this Tuesday. That's when details about the new agreement may be released. Meantime, though, Pan Am could have more labor troubles. Its 6,000 flight attendants have threatened to strike on April the 1st. Ross?
Residents of a high-rise apartment complex in West Los Angeles are considering themselves pretty lucky tonight. An afternoon fire in the Barrington Palaza complex on Wilshire Boulevard was confined to one apartment with no injuries among the tenants. 100 firefighters were quickly concentrated there at the scene. 3 of them had to be treated for heat exhaustion and smoke inhalation, but the fire was under control in less than a half hour. The property damage estimated at $50,000.
Somebody began yelling, "Get out of the building, get out of the building." And I looked across the street, and those guys who are construction workers were yelling. And I said, well, if the grown-ups are yelling, there's got to be something to this.
Did you take an elevator? Or
no, I live next to the fire exit, so I just dashed down the fire stairs, and I saw the smoke pouring out.
Fire was just on one floor, and some of the residents on the lower floors didn't even bother to leave their apartments. And this evening, a Southgate woman was killed. Her daughter critically injured in a major traffic accident in Lynwood. Police say Paula Franco's car was broadsided by a pickup truck driven by Tordidio Gonzalez. Gonzalez's truck allegedly ran a red light and rammed the Franco car and flipped over. Mrs. Franco was pronounced dead at the scene. Her 11-year-old daughter is in critical condition. Police say Gonzalez was fleeing from an earlier hit-and-run accident at the time of this accident.
Well, fighting and bloodshed in South Africa continues to shock much of the world tonight, and that shock is no different here in Los Angeles. Hundreds rallied today protesting South Africa's apartheid policies. And Channel 2's Sandra Ng has more.
Hey, hey, oh, oh, apartheid has got to go.
It was a peaceful but emotional march of protesters against apartheid in South Africa. They gathered to commemorate what has become known as the 1960 Sharpeville massacre, in which 69 people were allegedly killed by South African police. Those people had been taking part in a rally against the pass law system, one of the key instruments of apartheid.
Today, the protest marches against South Africa continue, not only in remembrance of those marches of 25 years ago, but also with new concerns.
As you could see in October last year, when the apartheid regime sent 7,000 of its troops into the black communities to behave like an army of occupation against the people of South Africa.
We are demanding, in the wake of this recent massacre that began on Thursday and continues until this very day, that our government join in with the rest of the world in calling for the complete political and economic isolation of the apartheid regime.
The estimated 250 demonstrators who had carried their message today from Martin Luther King Park to Lamert Park listened to reports of new alleged abuses in South Africa and to new words of hope.
Today, more than ever, the people of South Africa are confident that freedom is going to come to that country in our lifetime.
Sandra Ng, Channel 2 News.
But even as people were protesting here in Los Angeles, people in South Africa were dying in racial violence. In one township, police fired into a group of black squatters, killing 2 people. In another township, police say an angry mob of blacks with knives and axes killed a local official and 4 others. The official was also black and was suspected of cooperating with the white minority government there. Ross.
In local politics, a new LA Times poll is showing incumbent Tom Bradley enjoying a big lead in the upcoming mayoral race. The results to be published in tomorrow's edition give Bradley a 40 percentage point lead over opponent John Ferraro, 62 to 22. In the poll, respondents said Bradley's biggest strength was that he did a good job during the Olympics. His biggest weakness, as seen by those polled, was the mayor's support of drilling in the Pacific Palisades. Of those questioned about Ferraro, 31% said they had a favorable opinion of John Ferraro. But perhaps the biggest factor was that 40% said that they were unaware of that city councilman. The LA municipal primary election will be held on April 9th.
Well, politics aside on this one, the Watts-Willowbrook area has a new 93-acre park to call its own this weekend. And what better way to celebrate a new park than with a family picnic, complete with barbecue and all the fixings. Festivities kicked off this morning with dedication ceremonies. Supervisor Kenneth Hahn is one of the people who worked very hard to transform the old former mobile oil storage yard into a recreational center for the community. 2 artificial lakes are now stocked with fish, minus the ones that were caught today, however. And next to the lakes stand a senior citizen center and a well-equipped playground. So if you want to take a look at the new park, it's located at Avalon and El Segundo Boulevards.
Well, Pam, in the NCAA tournament, we now know 2 of the Final 4. And the LA Express $1 million quarterback, well, he's brought to his knees tonight. All that's still to come with Roy Firestone in sports. President Reagan calls home his arms negotiator from Geneva for some door-to-door selling on Capitol Hill. And in the harbor at Long Beach, the grand opening for a battleship with an old familiar name, but a new face. All that and much more still to come.
Skydiving may look risky, but I play it safe. With this and my new car. That's why I bought the GM Protection Plan. It enhances my regular warranty and protects me against most unexpected repair bills for up to 4 years. If something does go wrong, all I pay is a small deductible. Having extra protection along is a great feeling, even if you never need it.
Insist on the genuine GM Protection Plan when you buy a new GM car or light truck.
Maybe you figured to open an IRA around tax time. Well, why wait? With all the various investments in Great Western's custom IRA, you could be making some real money. Every day you put it off, you're missing that much high tax deferred interest. So open that custom IRA now. You know the way I see it? If you wait till April, you're really just taxing yourself.
Great Western Savings, a new brand of banking.
Going through the weekly food section, it's interesting to see how supermarkets advertise to get your business. Cash dividends, double manufacturer's coupons. Oh, and here's a store that accepts other stores' coupons. But Lucky realizes you want to save on more than just a few selected items. So by not offering gimmicks that cost them money, Lucky can offer you low prices every day on every item. So Lucky shoppers save on their entire food bill, whether they check their paper or not.
Mystery, mutiny, and murder are at the heart of an international conflict tonight, a conflict that leads our World Roundup. It involves this Chinese torpedo boat found adrift today in the Yellow Sea. That boat was in South Korean waters, and 6 of the 8 Chinese crewmen aboard were found dead. Some reports say that they were killed in a mutiny involving sailors who wanted to defect to Korea. But tonight, China is demanding the return of the boat and the sailors. South Korea, however, claims that its waters were violated, and they want an apology from China. Well, it was support that Lebanese President Amin Gemayel wanted today, and he got it from Syrian President Hafez Assad. The two met for about 4 hours in Damascus discussing the chaos in Lebanon. A particular concern is the revolt within Gemayel's government by the Christian militias. But Assad promised unlimited and total support for Gemayel and his government. And here at home, President Reagan is calling in support for the MX missile. The president is recalling Chief Arms Negotiator Max Kampelman from Geneva. Kampelman, who is a Democrat, will meet with congressional Democrats on Monday to try and persuade them to vote for the MX. The House will take a vote on MX funding on Tuesday, and all indications are that that vote is going to be a close one.
Another piece of military hardware, the USS Missouri, made a short trip today on its road to reactivation as a battleship with nuclear capabilities. Channel 2 reporter Kevin Boyle followed it from dry dock to a pier in the Long Beach Naval Shipyards.
The tug strained to get the Missouri's 58,000 tons moving again. From the shipyard's largest dry dock, the 41-year-old dreadnought stretched 888 feet, her long, lethal line showing through the clutter of construction scaffold. She heads slowly ahead, with the help of the ship fitters and riggers for whom this has become more than just another job.
You can get lost on this ship. I've done it. The first 2 days I was on it.
Their $457 million overhaul will result in a mix of the old and new, keeping 9 of these 16-inch monsters, while adding guns that fire 3,000 rounds a minute, the latest radar and communications, and rockets tipped with nuclear warheads.
This ship will carry as much firepower as any ship in the Navy for the mission that she's designed for.
But when all this work is done, the old Missouri will be much more than just a floating landmark. With the biggest shipboard guns in the world, augmented by the latest rockets and weaponry, all gliding at over 30 knots on a 17-inch thick hull, which even the most modern warheads aren't designed to penetrate.
It would take an atomic bomb to sink it. It would.
Al knows this ship, having served aboard through all of its battles. He knows her power.
It took one salvo of 3 guns on one tear to wipe out completely a power plant in Japan.
And that target was 26 miles away. But the Missouri promises to have even more power in the future.
Aboard the Battleship Missouri, Kevin Boyle, Channel 2 News.
Patricia Harris, who held 2 cabinet posts under President Carter, died today of breast cancer. Harris was appointed Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under Carter. Later, she was the first to take over the new Department of Health and Human Services. Patricia Harris was admitted to the hospital on Wednesday. She was 60 years old. And the jazz world is mourning the death of saxophonist Zoot Sims. He died this morning at age 59. Sims was born in Inglewood. He was one of the original 4 brothers in the Woody Herman Band's saxophone section, and he performed with virtually every major jazz star over a 40-year period. Sims died in a New York hospital of cancer. Woody Herman said that Zoot Sims played right up until his death. Herman said that he died with his boots on.
And we'll have his music to remember him by.
Right.
When we come back, Mr. Excitement, Roy Firestone will be here, bringing us up to date on the teams, which will be hitting the road to Lexington. But the big story for Bruin fans, buy your tickets now for New York. UCLA is in the finals of the NIT tournament.
The world moves so fast, it's often hard to keep up. So the Times stops it every day, separates it into easy-to-read sections: news, sports, business, entertainment, advertising, features, commentary. Its outstanding staff of writers and editors fill each issue with so many things you want to know. It takes a special kind of journalism to put the world together in a way that makes sense. The Los Angeles Times.
For all those confrontations with the unpredictable, BMW introduces the 535i. With an amazingly agile suspension, a computer-controlled engine that constantly adjusts to changing driving conditions, and an ingenious anti-lock braking system. The 535i. It lets those who take driving seriously peacefully coexist with those who don't.
Test drive the ultimate driving machine at your Los Angeles area BMW dealers.
Some 30 years ago, this Mr. and Mrs. got themselves a family cat named Dreyfus and invested $10,000 in the Dreyfus Fund. You'll be delighted to know that today the $10,000 has grown to more than $348,000.
Sir? Madam? Dreyfus?
The Dreyfus Fund. Put a lion in your IRA.
She left.
and everything golden went with her. Nothing could bring that angel to earth. To drown in her laughter,
Save me.
to revel in the careless scandal of her walk, to breathe her innocence was life itself.
My angel.
Ashes, all ashes. Was it me? Did I somehow drive her away?
There are many loves, but only one obsession. Calvin Klein's obsession.
Oh, the smell of it.
First at Robinson.
An unsung hero sitting next to me tonight, ready to do sports, the man who hit the home run that was heard around the world.
We don't have the videotape of that, but I want everyone to know, and this is an all-candor, the only reason I even played today is because Ross Becker didn't. He's still on the mend with those bad
I can't move too well yet.
But Channel 2 won 23-16. It was a real pitcher's duel out there.
Yeah, right, I see that.
KCLA, right.
Play the Little League.
Let's talk some basketball. The UCLA Bruins taking Coach Walt Hazzard back to New York. He wanted to go to the Apple. That's where he's going. The Bruins embarrassed in New York, of course, in a nationally televised game in December, but now a much improved Bruin team, and they're going to be in the Final Four of the nation's oldest basketball tournament, not the NCAAs, but the NITs. Tonight, the opponent, Fresno State, giving UCLA pretty much all they wanted, although they never led. The Bruins really were scared for the most part in this game. They were really pressed. Just before the half, UCLA put a little distance between them. Great passing there, Melanson to Miguel for the lay-in. Bruins played some great defense, too, forcing Fresno State into 7 first-half turnovers. This one ending up as Miguel slams, and UCLA led by 9 at the half. Second half, they just exploded, the Bruins did, extending their lead. First with this Brad Wright jumper, UCLA by 15. Then Reggie Miller dialing long distance. UCLA's lead is 17. It's 43-26. Now frustration sets in. Wright and Fresno's Brian Salone restrained by Walt Hazzard after they had exchanged punches, the two players did. Fresno State hangs tough, though. They cannot deny UCLA, however. The Bruins win it 53-43. They advance to the semifinals of the NITs.
Final Four, you know, regardless, NCAA, NIT, Final Four will always be the Final Four. You know, we're on our way there, so that's just wonderful. You know, it's been a lot of hard work and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears this year, but it's all paying off now. You know, we have 2 more games to go. It's not completely over yet, so you know, we take off Monday morning, we just take it from there.
Yeah! Used to be a real important tournament, the NITs, National Invitational Tournament. Now, some people say it stands for No One's Interested Tournament, but the UCLA Bruins are. They win it tonight. No word yet on who they will play on the finals, if they get to the finals Friday night.